Speaking of the Vikings, another wild game. They get the win in overtime against the Chicago Bears. It was 30-27. Vikings move to 9-2. Bears fall to 4-7. Another game where you just have like a lot of high leverage plays to unpack here. But high level, Sam Darnold with some huge throws in this game, very aggressive, getting the ball down the field, big time throws left and right. And then from a Bears perspective, can you be optimistic as a Bears fan? Let's add some optimism here. Caleb Williams looking good. Again, not perfect, not, it's a sack that he doesn't want to take in overtime and a couple throws that he would want back. But, man, the natural playmaking of Caleb Williams, far more of it these last couple weeks than we saw earlier in the year.
Yeah, I mean, and I think in this game, like Caleb Williams was dragging everybody else to success. I mean, he was making a bunch of really tight window throws. He made a ton of plays in this game. And, he took a bad sack at a bad time late in the game, but he was also basically individually responsible for them even being there in the first place.
Sure.
So to an extent, you can be like, whatever. And again, level set, it was against the Flores defense, which is a general nightmare for quarterbacks. So given what happened last week and they didn't really get rewarded necessarily, this is the second week in a row where since they've made the change in coaching, Caleb Williams has looked like a different quarterback. And if we hadn't seen an uptick in his performance earlier in the season, this would be where you'd be like, this looks like USC Caleb Williams. He's making a bunch of plays. The sort of ridiculous pass he made down the sideline to DeAndre Swift, like that was crazy. That was USC Caleb Williams. That was the preseason Caleb Williams where he dropped one of those into Rome Odunze down the sideline.
Yeah.
Like, get out of chaos, make a guy look ridiculous in the backfield, and then flick a pass right into the path of your receiver miles downfield that had no business getting there.
I didn't know if anyone with Mina, you still listen? Like anyone with the next gen stats access, like what his
completion probability?
No, I think Mina had pulled out these stats previously before where it would be like when QB's running, faster than 14 or 15 miles an hour, his completion percentage, because Williams was running fast. Like he was booking it to the sideline when he dropped that ball in to DeAndre Swift. That was really impressive. He also just had, I think the downfield accuracy from Caleb Williams this year has been very inconsistent.
Yeah.
But a seam route with velocity, the back shoulder to Keenan Allen where he just couldn't keep that second foot in was outstanding.
He made at least
multiple
three
seams, actually.
Ridiculously tight window throws to Keenan Allen.
Yes.
Like there was one drive where he was specifically ruining the life of Andrew Van Ginkel, where one of them, like Van Ginkel almost got his hand to that ball that zips through and hits Keenan Allen. The next one, he makes him look ridiculous in the backfield and gets around him. I think that was the deep throw to DeAndre Swift. Like he just one drive, for some reason, Van Ginkel was just the victim of everything Caleb Williams did.
And then the last one was with 21 seconds left, down 3, and he hits the big dig route to set up the game-tying field goal to even get the game to overtime. That was outstanding as well from Caleb Williams. So a lot of big-time throws there. The Bears get the ball in overtime. Takes a bad sack on second down. I mean, he held the ball for about 7 or 8 seconds, right? And that one, that was a long. Vikings get the ball back, end up getting the game-winning field goal. So just wanted to highlight Williams. He had a big 4th and 4 run to convert. He did some really nice things in this game. On the other hand, Minnesota, man, Sam Darnold continues to improve. I thought they were very aggressive. His average depth of target was over 10. And at first run on PFF, I'm highlighting Caleb Williams' big-time throws. First run has 5. Darnold has 5 of his own, which was really – he was just really impressive in this game.
Yeah, Darnold looked really good again. And Jordan Addison was the sort of chief beneficiary of it. Later on, TJ Hockenson took over, but those two really went nuts. Justin Jefferson, not really a factor on the stat sheet, but I think you see Justin Jefferson's impact in the production from Jordan Addison and TJ Hockenson. Like the Bears were focusing so much on taking Jefferson out of the game, and you can see it if you go through their targets. Like you can see specific plays where all the attention, all the coverage is going towards Jefferson, and that's giving not just Jordan Addison or TJ Hockenson like a favorable matchup, but like basically a cheap win, like a non-real target. Like there was a third down play, 3rd and long, where it's not a real coverage. Like they've warped some version of cover 2 and Addison now has a free release with the right leverage against the safety. Like, that's just pitch and catch at that level because two guys are covering Justin Jefferson. So Jefferson's impact went beyond that. I will say, though, that Addison, for a guy who, like, the reason he slipped in the draft to where he did is he's one of those guys whose measurables in every possible way are bad, right? Small, slow, light, like every possible measure was like, yeah, that's a little worrying when it came up with the combine. He's so much stronger than his size. It's nuts. They had a deep post or whatever it was against Terrell Smith, who's like 210 pounds, and Addison was the guy boxing him out and winning physically at the catch point. And it's like, that's not supposed to happen. You look at these two guys on paper, if it's a jump ball deep down the field, this is the one that should be winning. And instead it's Addison. There's another play later on where he catches the ball and rides a hit from the safety and carries on running down the sideline. He's got a bunch of those plays on his tape where it's a run after the catch where he rides contact, and you think a guy of his size should be taken down by that. He's a lot stronger than that.
The catch on that deep post was, that was outstanding.
Yeah.
The catch point strength from him, the one in the end zone for the touchdown, outstanding. I'm watching this game and I'm thinking about GM Kwesi and what he's done over the last couple of years. Drafted Addison in the first round, traded for TJ Hockenson, and we talk a lot about building a basketball team or just having so many playmakers and options. Aaron Jones out of the backfield. Justin Jefferson, I think he's the best receiver in the NFL, but in a game like this, only ends up with, was it 3 catches officially for him?
2.
Was it, or 2? Because I got the negated plays on
2
here.
for 27.
2 for 27. There was a negated catch in there as well. There was a long pass interference in there as well. But you can have Jordan Addison as the other option, picking up 8 catches for 162. Hockenson, 7 for 114, and starting to make plays down the field, not just underneath. Being able to put, when he's isolated one-on-one, throw the ball up to him and have him make a play. Having Aaron Jones running the ball. By the way, Aaron Jones fumbling at the goal line early on, maybe keeping the Bears in the game longer.
The Vikings have some absurd record of like first drive turnovers. I forget what the number was. I think it was since the start of last season, but it was like they had 9 first drive turnovers or something, which leads the NFL. Like the Vikings on that first drive just marched down the field. Aaron Jones is carving everybody up, and then they get to the goal line. To be fair, it was a really nice play from Jonathan Owens, who just ripped the ball from him. But yeah, fumble at the goal line where they should have gone up by 7 and like immediately put a stamp on the game, which, as good as Minnesota have been and as good as they've looked, they have this tendency to like, they're kind of their own worst enemy. They've been giving teams the opportunities to get back in these games when they should just be foot on the throat and stomping the life out of them quickly. And a lot of them have happened early in the game, but yeah, they should have marched down. The Owens had an interesting game. Like that play was amazing. He was also the guy that missed the tackle on Jordan Addison, where I was like, Addison did it really well to ride that contact. On the other hand, if he just went to tackle instead of hit, like it was the poster child of like, wrap your arms. If you hit a guy and he doesn't fall over, it's a big play. Like, drives me nuts as safeties doing that. What else did Kevin O'Connell deserves a lot of credit for just being an extremely good play caller, right? Nowhere was it better highlighted than Darnold gets hurt. He gets, like, someone falls on his ankle during a tackle. So Nick Mullins has to come in, and inconveniently, he has to come in on 3rd and 13. It's like, okay, we've got a not great backup quarterback coming in cold off the bench. The last thing you want him doing is, I need to pick up 13 yards here. Go. So they pull out this just great play where it's almost like a screen. It's one of those ones where it's like a drag from one side, but the entire left side of the formation is actually blocking. They're not even running routes, right? They're not options on this play. So you hit Jones over the middle for 5 yards or whatever, but he's running towards the left side where 3 guys are out there blocking to take out the rest of the defense. So 3rd and 13, you don't ask your quarterback to do much, just a simple pass over the middle, but the play is designed so that there's another 7 yards there, and he picks up 14 on 3rd and 13. Mullins goes off the field. Like, I needed him for one play, and I didn't ask him to do too much. I had this one sitting there somewhere just for this situation, and then boom.
And Nick wants to do too much. Nick, he's like Kellen Moore armed Jameis.
Yeah.
You know, Kellen Moore's arm, Jameis's aggressiveness, Jameis's mindset. Mullins made some incredible throws last year in relief and also some disastrous ones. But no, that was a good play. I mean, and Darnold, the injury looked bad for a minute. Happy that he made it back into the game.
They did, however, Minnesota lose Cam Robinson, their newly acquired left tackle, to
early,
a foot injury.
First quarter.
Yeah. And Ivan Pace Jr., the linebacker. So it was potentially costly for them. The Vikings, I don't think, have issued an update as to how long either of those guys are going to be out. But Robinson in particular, they traded for him because Darrisaw goes down. They really need a viable left tackle.
David Quessenberry filling in. But yeah, if you're down to third string left tackle,
that would be bad.
Not great. Just want to say again, just to put a bow on the Darnold discussion too. They were throwing the ball down the field. They have dudes to throw to. Going back to Kwesi's job building this team, I think they've built one of the best group of playmakers in the NFL. A game like this shows it, where you didn't have to feed Justin Jefferson. And even when you forced some passes to Justin Jefferson, you still have other guys to make plays. Defensively, the Jonathan Grenards, the Van Ginkels, the Stephon Gilmores of the world. Really an impressive team-building effort, I think, that we're starting to see come to fruition here for Minnesota. And I think we were both lower on Minnesota, certainly than a 9-2 team, because you didn't know what you're going to get at the quarterback position. So then you add the Darnold component to it. And Darnold, I think every time it's the Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield thing for me, right? You've got these priors, and so it's like, prove that the priors are wrong. Prove that when another team thought that you were not capable of being a starting quarterback, prove now that you can be. And part of that's not just playing pristine the whole way, it's bouncing back from adversity. And we've said earlier in the year, there were some games where Darnold didn't play throw for throw great. Then there's the Jags game where he literally almost blew the game from Minnesota. And since that point, though, was outstanding last week against Tennessee, was outstanding in this game against the Bears. And I think that's a huge sign that Darnold can improve, bounce back from adversity, and that it's not like growth isn't always linear. We like to say that a lot. But the fact that Darnold hasn't fallen off a cliff, I think, is massive. And the fact that he's actually maybe upped his game these last 2 weeks after the disappointing game with the 3 red zone interceptions against Jacksonville, also huge, I think, for Minnesota. Look, I don't know if they're going to the Super Bowl, but right. I think they're going to be a competitive, tough out when it comes to playoff time.
And he's done it in, pressure situations as well. Like, this was a game where the Vikings, going into overtime, the Vikings could easily have felt like this had already slipped away from them, right? Like, they'd blown a big lead. The Bears had taken them to overtime in a game they should have lost already, and now you're out there having to try and win the game again, effectively, from the quarterback situation. Like, it would have been easy, and he took a sack in overtime. Like, he did the Caleb Williams thing. It wasn't quite as bad, but he took a bad sack as well and backed them up. It would have been easy at that point to kind of melt down and, go full Sam Darnold mistake time. But instead, he was like, no, just make the plays again. Big conversion to Addison, plays to Hockenson. Like, he played really well when the game was on the line. A couple of Bears, though, I wanted to shout out. Kyler Gordon was making some really impressive plays for them. He had a really nice pass breakup on fourth down. He did, yeah. Really nice play on a screen where they got guys out in front of him. He got around TJ Hockenson, I think, to stuff it out. He had a really good play. DJ Moore is so good at the quick screen, run after the catch stuff, the designed run after the catch plays for wide receivers. He is so good. I think it was a touchdown in this game where caught the ball. There's players all over the place, and yet immediately you took a look at it like, he's scoring on this. Like, he's going to find that lane to get through there and actually get it into the end zone. So those two guys, I thought, had really good games.
Yeah, good shout on all that. So Minnesota 9-2, Bears 4-7, disappointing, but still some optimism with the way Caleb Williams played.
Yeah, they haven't been rewarded for it because they've faced 2 good teams, and one of them had, both of them have blocked kicks. But it's definitely been a notable improvement since they made the change at offensive coordinator. Caleb Williams has looked dramatically better. And at this point for Chicago, since the season is effectively gone, that's the goal, right? It's like, let's make sure Caleb Williams is good and everything's moving in the right direction there.
Yeah, offense does look much better the last couple of weeks, I will say.
Yeah. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.